Political comedy is a powerful bridge between ideological poles in our society. We were shocked in researching this episode to find a rich and hilarious bipartisan history of comedy in our American experience. Join me on this remarkable trip down memory lane.
When a person dies and is buried, it seems a certain voodoo priests who have the power to bring him back to life.
Horrible.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats?
Mr. President, in talking about the continuing recession tonight, you have blamed mistakes of the past, and you have blamed the Congress. Does any of the blame belong to you?
Yes, because for many years I was a Democrat.
I always look forward to these dinners.
It's just a bunch of media types. Hollywood liberals, Democrats like Joe Biden. How come I can't have dinner with the 36% of the people who like me?
I believe that diplomacy should be the cornerstone of any foreign policy.
And I can see Russia from my house.
Is it going to be hard in 2 years when you're no longer president and people will stop letting you win at basketball?
How does it feel having a 3-inch vertical?
It's a 3-inch horizontal.
You say yes? Go ahead. With my hairspray.
What do we call people that go willy-nilly through life just doing things because it feels good?
Democrats.
To you, Mrs. Reagan, lovely Mrs. Reagan, to you, our dear president, may God be good to you and yours for the coming 4 years and beyond that. You're a great gentleman and a great credit to the country. May he give you health, the Almighty, and may you reign as long as you wish. God bless.
Many of the Hollywood stars and entertainers in that montage there were left-leaning, but they were still laughing. They were still laughing with people of the opposing political party. How times change. Today, Hollywood leftists' humor looks a lot like this.
I know, me too. She's fabulous. I cannot wait to see her debate our current Vice President, Mika Pints. Or, is it Paints?
It's pronounced Ponce, I believe.
Oh, some kind of weird foreign name?
Yeah, not very American sounding.
Yeah, that's what people are saying.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
What happened to these people? That's actually a quote that Kamala Harris says. Does one of us have to come out alive? I mean, it's ghoulish. You know, what happened to them is actually very easy to diagnose. At the root of all humor is truth. Jokes about a priest, a minister, and a rabbi are funny because there's a nugget of truth in them. When your truth is relative, non-existent, you have no stomach for humor. The modern left has embraced moral relativism. Therefore, they have no truth. If you have no truth, then there's nothing left to laugh at. Or even worse, you're scared to laugh because you're worried you may offend someone else's truth. It's insane. And this is why the left often says speech is violence, silence is violence, everything is offensive. A chicken crossing the road? You can't tell that joke, okay? It's offensive to the Riley family. They're chicken farmers. Knock-knock jokes? That's offensive to people who are so poor they don't have doors on their houses. A juvenile fart joke? The bedrock of American comedy? That's offensive to California Democratic congressmen who have affairs with Chinese spies and poop in their pants on national TV.
Taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help them cheat an election.
Sorry, Eric. I know. We're so sorry to offend you. We apologize. Warning label. Stop laughing, okay? Stop laughing at that stuff. It's not funny. Remember, it's not funny, especially to the left. And they want you to know it. Article after article written these days about post-comedy. Offensive jokes. Is stand-up doomed? Look at some of these headlines. How funny does comedy need to be? No jokes, please. We're liberal. Guys, these are mainstream establishment articles writing about the death of comedy, and they killed it themselves. That's a real problem. The absence of humor is a vacuum. and it's filled by shrill vacuousness and seething for your fellow Americans. Polls actually show this. Data shows this. In a recent poll, Democrats listed the biggest worry in their lives was Trump supporters. Perhaps that's because Trump supporters are still actually funny, and they voted for a guy that's truly hilarious. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump was the funniest president of my lifetime. Do you need proof?
He didn't know what hit him. He's going, oh, get me off of this stage. Get me off. Get me off of this stage. I just feel like a young man. I'm so young. I can't believe it. I'm the youngest person. I am a young, vibrant man. I look at Joe. I don't know about him. I don't know. I don't like mosquitoes. I don't like those mosquitoes. I never did. Okay, speaking of mosquitoes. Hello, Hillary. How are you doing?
Humor? Okay, guys, it's funny. It's empirically funny, all right? Humor is perhaps Trump's most powerful weapon against the left and the ruling class. The ruling class hates being ridiculed. They hate it more than anything. From the very first episode of this show, here on the Benny Report, we have always stressed the importance of humor and ridicule. In today's intense political environment, take a look. They hate being ridiculed. They hate it more than anything. If we don't regularly practice our right to ridicule, we will lose it. And our ruling class would love nothing more. See, that's what the show is all about. The Benny Report is not on the side of any particular party or politician. Our mission is, in fact, the opposite: to keep our ruling class humble, to remind Americans that our elected officials are just people, regular citizens like us. That line from a Tanner version of Benny is more true today than the day we broadcast it. If we don't regularly practice our right to ridicule, we will lose it. Don't believe me? In communist China, people can't post this meme of Winnie the Pooh because it looks too much like communist dictator Xi. Think that's outrageous? Let's take a look at where we're headed right here in America. Memes are not illegal yet, but big tech censors are working in lockstep with the current administration to suppress comedy and criticisms of the Biden administration. Cancel culture has eroded the joy in American culture to the point of absurdity. This is why it is more important than ever in American history to keep humor and ridicule alive, because it is now clear that we could very well be on the verge of losing it. And lastly, guys, if we can just admit right now, together, that we are living through one of the funniest administrations in American history. Just watch.
Right this way, sir. Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Just calm down. It's okay. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. What happened? I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kid used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. Hey, look at it.
Guys, if you don't laugh, if you don't laugh, you may cry. Use your God-given right to laugh. It's healthy. It's good for you. It's good for our country. Laugh at politicians. Laugh at me. I deserve it more than most. But keep laughing. A good-humored, happy, united people do not break. So stay funny, America. True comedy is rare in today's cancel culture. It's almost entirely extinct. But it's not completely dead. Comedian Ryan Long tapped into the hilarity of ridiculing woke America. Ryan goes viral every single week with a new sketch, often mocking the protected classes of people you're not allowed to make fun of, okay? To give you a flavor of Ryan's comedy, you have to watch this sketch, Woke versus Racist.
When me and Brad first met, I didn't think we'd get along, but turns out we kind of agree on everything. Your racial identity is the most important thing. Everything should be looked at through the lens of race.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. We both have a lot of opinions about people of color, even though we barely know any.
I say colored people, but as long as we're classifying them, we both think minorities are a united group who think the same and act the same.
And vote the same. You don't want to lose your black card. Sorry, I don't know. I just think we should
roll back discrimination laws so we can hire based on race again. Jinx, now you owe me a Coke. Hey, tell them what you told me yesterday.
White actors should only do voices for white cartoon characters.
I've been saying that for years. Stick to your own.
Us white people, we have so much privilege.
I agree. It is a privilege to be white.
Ryan joins us now from a place of privilege. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. A place of not COVID privilege because I'm in New York City right now. Also, you guys have very impressive graphics. I was watching that being like, oh, my graphics suck, dude.
Oh, well, not the graphics on your graphic tee and not the graphics on your incredible comedy sketches. Okay, so first off, this is the bravest thing you can do. The bravest thing you can do is actual woke comedy, based comedy, comedy that attacks groups that you're not allowed to attack. And that's what you do in these kind of segments, and you go insanely viral every time you do it. So what is it in you that inspired this bravery? Where did this start from?
I guess I don't. Thank you. I'm very stunning and brave. I appreciate that out of the gate. Let the record state. Basically, it goes like a U.S. veteran, and then I think it's me a little higher than that. So I appreciate you recognizing that. Well, I've just been doing comedy for a long time, and I guess I don't see it like that. So, because I just make stuff that I think is funny, and when you're in the comedy clubs, you know, you test out stuff, you find jokes that are funny, and then you kind of act, and then other people will go, how can you say that? And I go, I don't know, it seems to be funny to me. So I think that I'm just kind of, a lot of the stuff I say is the same thing that like a group of guys says when no one's watching. So there is right now what you can and can't say, but I think in comedy clubs, comedy was always like, you have a conscience and you make jokes that you think are funny that you can live with, and sometimes you cross that line and go back. Then the audience laughs at what they think is funny and what they kind of mix with their conscience. There is a new thing today where people want to add in like a third component where they'll go, yeah, you made the joke, they laughed, but we want to referee it from the sidelines and we're not even part of this. So I think that's the part that probably you're talking about that everyone has a problem with, where they go, yeah, we know everyone's having fun, but we want to take the ball and go home.
The reason I asked that, and the reason I would call it bravery on a cultural level, is that people get canceled for this. You know, you watch other comedians like Kevin Hart lose his Oscars hosting gigs because he told jokes that offended certain classes. I mean, are you scared of getting canceled?
Well, I don't have a job, so that helps. You'll be like, well, they're going to take my stuff away. And you go, what stuff? And I think that's kind of what happens with, you know, all cultural movement stuff. Like if you look at, even I always kind of say, if you look at hip hop in a certain time when the industry was like, oh, we don't want to touch that. And now there's a lot of billionaires, you know, that kind of made all the money off that were rappers, right? And right now, yeah, the industry has like, oh, we're going to only do the right thing. And progressively, every good comedian has kind of left that system. So I think there's a lot of, you know, super funny comics that are out there making funny stuff and doing stand up every night and making people laugh. So if the industry doesn't want to, you know, kind of be part of that, everyone's building their own little empires right now. And I think eventually you get to a point where it's like now everyone's very successful and you go, why would I even want to do that? So they're like, oh, if you don't subscribe to all our things, then you won't be able to be in this. And I go, yeah, and if I subscribe to all your things, I won't be funny. Plus your thing sucks.
Ryan, we're almost out of time here. Do you have any words? I know you have an incredible sketch about Vice reporters. If there's a Vice reporter watching this right now to write a hit job on you, do you have any words for them?
Vice is the funniest one. I'll tell you this quick, but I did an interview when I was in Canada. They brought me in once. We were going to talk about making a TV show, and it was about like music bands and stuff like we're talking about. But they, the guy goes, would you be able to do anything about refugees? Refugees are like really hot right now. And that's where I was like, these guys are cooked. So the guy at Vice told me refugees are really hot right now. And I always laugh at that. But yeah, youtube.com/Ryan Long Comedy. New sketch every Monday.
Amazing. Keep going. We're behind you, dude.
Man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
seriously,
it.
We need you out there, dude. We love it. We
yeah,
look
go to
forward
comedy
it
clubs, man. There's a lot of good people. Don't always listen to what's going on the internet. There's a lot of people doing really funny comedy that, you know, and most people aren't as crazy as they seem on the internet as the little group of people that's representing them.
Thank you, Ryan. Stunning and
Thanks,
brave.
buddy. Appreciate
So
it.
stunning, so brave.
Thanks, dude.
Comedy is infectious. One of the most powerful elements of comedy today online is that when people laugh at something, they tend to share it. This is why funny videos go viral. When it's combined with a political message, well, then you have lightning in a bottle. Even more powerful and even more impactful is political comedy online, and there's not a lot of it. No one knows better than someone whose videos regularly go viral, who has caused trending hashtags in multiple occasions on Twitter, sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for bad reasons, whose work has been shared by the President of the United States. You know him. Joining us now, the one and only Terrence Williams.
My brother, thank you for having me on. Benny, congratulations on such a great show. Man, you are killing it.
Terrence, you are killing it. I love that brand new Donald Trump themed orange artwork in your house. It's beautiful.
You know, Donald Trump always have my support. I love him so much and I miss him. I miss him, Benny. It's been boring without Trump. I've been losing my mind a little bit. I really miss him. It's been really boring. Twitter is boring without Trump. Like, he made Twitter so fun. It's so whack, man. We got to bring President Trump back.
We got to bring President Trump back. President Trump, I think, was the funniest president of my lifetime. Conservatives need to use humor more, and you are the master of it. Where do you get your comedy sketches from? Where do you get your inspiration from? And what is it that inspired you to be a conservative comedian, if that's the right way to label it?
You know, Benny, I've always been a comedian. You know, I started out in school when I was in grade school. I was a class clown, one of the best class clowns. You know, I was just born a little crazy and a little funny. So it comes naturally, man. And I've always been the type to, you know, make people laugh. And also, I had a rough upbringing, you know, growing up in foster care. So I had to find some happiness somehow, and I had to find something to laugh about, you know. So I learned to laugh about all the crazy things that was going on in my life at the time. So that's where I get it from, man, you know, from hard times.
How do you create your comedy? Everyone's seen your videos. You're famous on the internet. Your videos get seen by millions of people. How do you create them?
Whenever I think of something, I just make a video. When it comes to mine, I just make it. And that is what gets me in trouble, is because when I think of something, I just say it. And then I go back and be like, oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But you know, Benny, it's truth in comedy. And that's why a lot of people are trying to cancel comedy, because it's a lot of truth in comedy. You know, comedy comes from, you know, real life things, from real life situations, you know? And that's why people want to cancel comedy, and that's why I'm always canceled, is because, Benny, all I do is really tell the truth, you know? All I do is just say what's going on, and it just happened to be funny, you know? Nancy Pelosi being a drunk, it just happened to be funny, you know? I mean, having a House Speaker who can barely speak just happened to be funny. I'm not making fun of her speech impediment. I have one myself. You know, I grew up stuttering. I got a speech impediment. I talk with my tongue. I sound like Daffy Duck sometimes. But it's just funny that the Speaker of the House can't really speak, you know? So it's truth in comedy, Benny. That's why it's getting canceled.
There's truth in comedy. You're exactly right. And when you have no truth, you have no comedy. If you're the left and you have no truth and no empirical truth and you're a complete moral relativist, you have no comedy and you're worried about offending everyone. So that's why the left can't do comedy, and it's why people like Terrence, you are so important in the movement. Thank you so much for being on the Benny Report.
Thank you, Benny.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.